everybody. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. This is the Jordan Report, and I'm your host, Robert Jordan. Everyone, please remember to like, subscribe, and share. Okay, guys, George Soros has reared his head again. He pops up every now and then. George is 91 years old, and he is still active. In fact, most of what we're seeing today in the country today is his work. The destabilization, the riots, everything is his work and his people, and I'm going to show you how he's doing it. Anyway, this article is from yesterday. George Soros donates $220 million to radical BLM groups, vows to end policing as we know it. You see, all the stuff that BLM is talking, it's George Soros. George Soros was their original donor. He was the one that gave them their seed money of $33 million. He did this while Obama was in office. George Soros' Open Society Foundation has announced an enormous $220 million donation to Black Voters Matter and Black-led justice organizations building power in Black communities across the country. The Open Society Foundation said that the huge donations will help end policing as we know it in the United States, while African Americans, including Candace Owens and Lord Jamar, accused Soros of using his money to control the Black community. I've been saying this way before Candace showed up. This is like 10 years old. This started way back, way before Candace showed up. I mean, I appreciate what she's saying, but this is a lot older than her. The largest share for the investment, $150 million, will be through a set of 5-year grants to Black-led organizations focused on racial equality, the organization announced. In addition to 5-year grants, Open Society Foundation said it's also making a series of investments totaling $70 million in more immediate efforts to advance racial justice. This is the time for urgent and bold action to address racial justice in America. Alex Soros, George Soros' son, he's going to take over after George is gone. And the deputy chair of Open Society Foundation said in a statement, these investments will empower proven leaders in the Black community to reimagine policing, end mass incarceration, and eliminate the barriers to opportunity that have been the source of inequity for too long. Okay, now I'm going to show you what else George has in this society, which is why we're so unstable. George not only controls Black Lives Matter, George controls at least 206 organizations in this country. I've done this before. I've done several reports on George. This is 2017. This is over 3 years ago when he had 206 organizations. And almost everybody, we've heard all these organizations' names. But I'm going to get all the way down to number 63 and show you the most important one. I'll leave the link so you guys can read who's on this guy's list. The most important one is the Democratic Party. Soros funding activities are devoted largely to helping the Democratic Party solidify its power base. In November 2003 interview, Soros stated that defeating President Bush in 2004 is the central focus of my life, a matter of life and death. He says the same thing about Trump, and I'm getting ready to show you him saying that. He pledged to raise $75 million to defeat Bush and personally donated nearly a third of that amount to anti-Bush organizations. America under Bush, he said, is a danger to the world, and I am willing to put my money where my mouth is. Okay? Now let me show you what he said about Trump. He says, Soros, Trump will disappear in 2020 or even sooner. He promised to get rid of Trump. He was trying to get rid of Trump. You see all the destabilization around Trump? This is from Soros. Billionaire investor and political activist George Soros commented on the Trump administration in a speech at the World Economic Forum annual meetings in Davos. Soros declared that Trump's phenomenon will disappear in 2020, calling his presidency a danger to the world. He just said that about Bush. Soros said his goal is to reestablish a functioning two-party system in the United States. This is a man who's not elected to anything, but he thinks he controls this country. Clearly, I consider the Trump administration a danger to the world, Soros said at the World Economic Forum, but I regard it as purely temporary phenomena that will disappear in 2020 or even sooner. I give President Trump credit for motivating his core supporters brilliantly, but for every core supporter he has created, a greater number of core opponents who have equally strongly motivated. That's why I expect a Democrat landslide in 2018. I'm going to show you him saying that, then we're going to get out of here.
Clearly, I consider the Trump administration a danger to the world, but I regard it as a purely temporary phenomenon that will disappear in 2020 or even sooner. I give President Trump credit for motivating his core supporters brilliantly, but for every core supporter, he has created a greater number of core opponents who are equally strongly motivated. That's why I expect a Democratic landslide in 2018.
Okay, guys, Trump is still there. So he has failed at that. So we're waiting on the election. We're going to see what happens here. I know George has a lot of stuff up his sleeves.